Good evening. How's it going? I've got another video, and this is a review video where I'm going to talk about another individual that you should know about, you should understand about. And it's going to be somebody you've probably heard about, like most of these are. Um, and it's an interesting one because, like everything, or like many things, controversy is around opinions and people nowadays, and it's really hard to get away from that. But we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to do my best to talk about it, and I think it's important. So we're going to dive in and we're going to see how this goes. But um, everybody probably has an opinion. Everybody probably has a preconceived idea. I'm not sure that we appreciate the scope of the individual that we're going to talk about tonight. And that individual is Andrew Tate. What's interesting about Andrew Tate is, I don't know, a year ago, something like that. You noticed it too. I noticed it. I don't have Twitter. I don't have Instagram. I don't have much as far as social media except Facebook because I'm old. It's pretty sad. But Facebook and YouTube, when you go into the video mode, it's Reels or something like that. Anyway, if you click a video, it'll just roll into the next video and into the next one, and it can be random stuff. It's all kinds of stuff. And there's some algorithm that kicks different videos that you might be interested your way. And a year ago, something like that, all of a sudden, this guy, never heard of him before, don't know who he is, he's everywhere. Andrew Tate, everywhere. Video after video after video, it's him. No shirt, sunglasses, he's the top G, he's this, he's that, misogynistic, sexist, vulgar, rude, arrogant, all these kind of things, right? Kind of interesting, makes some good points. Some of it's, crude, whatever. You kind of hear it, blah, blah, blah. Well, then he gets obviously attacked, canceled. I think he actually goes and has every account that he had shut off. He has all of his Apple Pay, credit cards, credit accounts. I don't know. Everything was frozen. Like they completely shut him down. He kind of gets past that, kind of gets back on top. And then he gets charged and pulled into a Romanian prison cell for human trafficking. That's what the charges are. So anyway, let's talk about this guy a little bit. And I'm going to talk about him from the perspective of a parent. Let's do that. Let's say you're a parent like I am, and you've got some teenage boys, and they're listening to Andrew Tate stuff. Should you be concerned? I'm going to say no, and I'm going to tell you why. One is because we need to teach our kids to be strong enough to hear and listen to opinions and evaluate them, and not be swayed by things that are untrue or that don't make logical sense or that are disrespectful or that lead down the wrong road or whatever. So that's one reason why. The second reason why you should not be concerned is because you can learn a lot, and your kids can learn a lot about growth and development of people from listening to him. So there are some things in his past that I wouldn't agree with, that I don't agree with. He made his money through webcam business that was immoral, at best. Probably not criminal. It was legal, the place that he was doing it, but definitely immoral and definitely not great. But he found a way to make money. That's how he made money. But he's changed. He has gotten to the point where he now recognizes his platform is bigger than it was when he was doing those kind of things. It's larger. It has more reach. He's got, and what he says is, he goes, you know, the things that I promoted and said when I had 50 views on my videos, I have to be a little bit more careful. I have a bigger responsibility now that I have 50 million views, or whatever. So he's changed, and I believe he's changed, and I believe he is taking his responsibility seriously. And look, the reason why, let's put it this way, the fact that if somebody in our lives or somebody that we know about ever did anything wrong in their history, and that we're going to try to live as a culture that says if that's the case and we find out about it, you're done forever, is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So this idea that find the kernel of sin, find the incorrect opinion, find the misspoken words, find the worst case action that was caught on video or spoken about, and then put a label on a person, and then they're done and they're in that bucket forever, never to be forgiven and cast off to the side, is absolutely asinine. We know, and we need to teach our kids how to evaluate opinions, people, and positions on the basis of truth, growth, advancement, those kinds of things. And he is a case where you can listen to his opinions, see what he's saying, and evaluate for yourself, and your kids can evaluate whether it's heading in the right direction or not. And it's a place where, at the very minimum, you can have a great conversation around. So that's another reason why you should listen to him, because people can change, and it's important to understand that there is growth in individuals, and people are nuanced. People are complex. All of us are. We're not just easily labeled as one thing, and then we get to be put in that box. There's nuance. There's places where we're right, places where we're a little bit more wrong. Opinions that we have that have changed over time. These are all things that we need to be thinking about. And so for that reason, I think I would put it in a bucket of he's somebody that you should listen to. I'll tell you another reason, the third reason, let's say. His growth as a religious perspective. And this is an interesting one, because he was an atheist previously. He said he was kind of had that out of ignorance. When asked how or why he became religious, he uses the term religious, but it could be faith-based. He could belief in God, whatever you want to call it. But he used logic to say, as he discovered the evil that existed in the world, he believed that there had to be an equal and opposite power to all the evil, and it has to be God. Therefore, God exists, and anything good in his life is sourced in God. The things in his life that cause good things to happen in others are for God's purposes and callings. And that's a pretty logical position that he got to. And it makes a lot of sense, and it's probably fairly accurate in my opinion. I'll tell you another thing. He converted to Islam. His brother is Christian, and they talked a lot about that. And the reason why he's Islamic holds a lot of solid argument. And mostly it revolves around the idea that there is a criticism for the Christian culture, the Christian belief system, that it's weakened to the point where he doesn't know what a Christian believes. You say you're a Christian, you follow the Bible, but it's all over the board right now. Because you go to a Christian church and you see pride flags. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Are people forgiven no matter what? Do they get to live however they want? Does God have any standards? Does he have any boundaries? What happens if you cross those boundaries? And he says in the Christian representation that he sees, he doesn't see anything of substance or conviction there. You can mock the Christian God and nothing happens. Nobody says anything. You can violate Christian rules and you still seem to be in good faith and in fellowship, and there's no boundaries, there's no issues, everything is okay, all is forgiven. And look, I'll say this, there's absolutely a place where acceptance, no matter where you are, is a part of it. Grace and forgiveness, no matter what you've done, is absolutely a part of it. Does that mean that's where you stay and that you can just say, I want to belong and I want to be in the good graces of God, or I want to have my life be reflective of a relationship with the Father, but yet I'm going to live however I want? I don't think so. He saw the same thing. And because of that, he said, look, I can tell you what Muslims believe. I can tell you what Islam says about certain things, and I can tell you what happens if you violate those things. He said, and that's a God that I believe in, one that has boundaries, that has things that are acceptable and things that aren't acceptable. He's just, he's sovereign, and that made sense to him. So because of that, I think it's a very respectful position. I think it's a very logical position, and I think as believers of a Christian faith, for lack of a better term, just believers of the God of the Bible, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we should be sobered with those comments because they're not entirely untrue. And so his religious perspective is very interesting. Another reason, I think we're up to 4, the fourth reason you should not be concerned if your son is listening to Andrew Tate, is his message is primarily tenets revolving around traditional masculinity. So if there's anything that's been attacked in the last 5 to 10 years, it's that. And he's basically saying, I don't believe that. I think they're attacking that on purpose because men of character, men of strength, men of integrity, men who are formidable, who are strong, who work out, who are able to earn money, who protect the people around them, are men who can be leaders and protectors of the people that they love and providers for the people that they love. And that's a group of people that are not easily manipulated. That's a group of people that cannot be coerced through propaganda and narratives quite so easily. And that's why they're going after that group of people, masculine men. And it's obvious there's an attack against that. And he's saying, no apologies, be a strong man, work hard, learn to speak, learn to articulate the things that you want to say, learn to debate, have a story, go experience things in your life that are difficult. Anything of value has been gained through difficulty. That's why it has value, because it's hard to attain. So don't be afraid of that. Lean into it, work hard. And these are fantastic messages. They really are. You could get into there's some videos and some quotes and clips that, does it go a little far? Maybe. Do I agree with everything? No. Tell me somebody that I do agree everything with. Can't find somebody like that, nor can you. So let's quit acting like, we're so sensitive that we can't evaluate somebody and the good things that they're saying and be like, man, it makes a lot of sense. I like that. And some of the things that are off, I don't have to take that. I don't believe that part. But look, man, I made a post. It was probably 7 or 8 months ago. And I said, we should hear more of Andrew Tate, not less. And there's probably not a more unpopular statement than that right now, because in the cultural stuff, he's being massively attacked. He's been charged of human trafficking, which I believe is trumped up charges. He was put in prison for 93 days, him and his brother Tristan. And by the way, while we're talking about Andrew Tate, his brother Tristan Tate is just as impressive, just as interesting, just as articulate. And the way that they act as brothers, keeping each other's back, and it's really good to see. It's a good thing for us. So look, evaluate it, watch him for yourself. But if your kids are wanting to watch some Andrew Tate stuff, I'd say that's not a bad thing. That's probably a good thing for those reasons I just mentioned, and probably several others. And watch him too, and evaluate it, and see what parts of what he says is good and what parts of what he says we might not agree with, or we could learn from. But look, I'll end it with this. The guy probably has his finger on the dynamics of what's happening in our world and in our culture as good as anybody. He calls things a matrix attack. He talks about the legacy media and how they're all in on things together, and that there's a consolidated attack, against men, and there's a reason for that, because strong men who lead their families and think for themselves and provide and say, no, let's not get swept up emotionally here. He's a big believer in stoicism. So, be a stoic. Let's think about this. Let's not let our emotions control the day. Let's not be dictated to by how we feel, when the message of the world right now is that tap into your feelings, and everything you feel you need to wear on your sleeve, and you need to be overrun by the way you feel. And if you feel sad, you should get some sympathy, and if you don't feel good, then it's probably somebody else's fault, and all this kind of stuff. And he's kind of like, I don't feel like working out, but I'm disciplined, so I work out. Feelings have nothing to do with it. I don't feel like going to work, but I get to go to work, so I go to work. Like, these are messages that are critical right now, and there's absolutely an attack against men, and he's calling it out, and he's saying he's influential, and if people can shut him up and he can quit, be stopped for promoting a message like that. Because look, at the end of the day, a lot of young men, and I'll tell you, myself included, are inspired by a lot of the things he says, and it's needed. And so we need to learn how to love people, be strong, lead our families, and lead our homes again. And, we see some people like this come along every so often. There's different segments of it. A lot of the people that I've covered in my videos are examples of folks like that. Jordan Peterson has a lot of the same kind of message. But honestly, Andrew Tate comes in. He's pretty dang cool. He's the top G. He's pretty dang funny. And he has been interviewed by Patrick Bet-David, who I had him as somebody that I told you should check out. He's been interviewed by Tucker Carlson. He's been interviewed by Candace Owens. It's been endless. He's been everywhere. And you have, 200 hours of conversation that you could go find. And I've listened to a lot of it, and there's not a lot of holes in the things that he's saying. It makes a ton of sense, and it's motivating a lot of young men and a lot of men to take responsibility for themselves. And look, I'll tell you another bonus reason why you should let your young men and kids listen to Andrew Tate is because even though he was involved in a webcam business when he was younger, he made some money doing that. But he also now is to the point where he advocates against pornography. He advocates against men giving into those kinds of things. And he says, look, be a man of integrity, be a high value man, a high target man. Don't sit around in your basement watching pornography and, doing stupid stuff like that, wasting your time with video games. Get up, make something of yourself. And if you can't, have a little difficulty and resist and have a little self-discipline to where you just, watch videos and, give in to these kind of whims all the time, then you're not going to be a high value man. Learn to discipline yourself, learn to control yourself, study, be prepared, be ready, go make an impact in the world. And that's a wonderful message. And look, the preachers shaking their fingers at our kids and telling us, that don't do that stuff because God's mad at you or whatever, that doesn't work so well. But you got a guy that is like, look, and I'll never forget, I've done some men's ministry stuff in my history, in my past. And when it comes to pornography and things like that, one of the most impactful things that I ever heard as far as our ability to overcome giving into those temptations had to do with the idea that, because we were talking about accountability partners, we were talking about, somebody you can call, is there a scripture you can read? How do you avoid it? How do you resist these temptations? I had one particular friend of mine, and I'll never forget it. And he knows who he is if he hears this. He said, we're righteous men of God and we don't do those things. And man, that clicked. It was just like, why would I engage in something that's beneath me? I'm a righteous man of God. And this is kind of what Andrew Tate's message is. Look, you're made for better than that. Quit wasting your time. Don't do it. Learn some discipline, learn some self-discipline and some strength in our ability to resist and go through something difficult and have some fortitude in our character and resist that crap. Don't waste your time with it. And, he's a cool guy with supercars and, top G and sunglasses, and he's telling your kids, don't waste their time with that. They're better than that. It's a fantastic message, and it's really true. And it kind of gets hold. And I think a lot of young men are like, yeah, darn right. I'm not supposed to just be, in my basement watching pornography, playing video games, giving into my feelings all the time, because I'm not supposed to be the man that everybody says is a misogynistic, detriment to society. And he's like, no, you're called to be a strong man. Go work out, get a six pack. It's hard to do. That's why it's valuable. Go be proud of yourself when you learn how to have a conversation with people, when you learn how to earn some money, get a job, invest in your future. Like it's a good message. And so not everything he's done has been perfect. Not everything he says anybody agrees with or I agree with all the time, but a lot of it's really good. And these are a lot of reasons why, if you've heard your kids talking about Andrew Tate or you've seen some Andrew Tate stuff, he's worth listening to. He really, really is. And I mean that. So anyway, he is the guy that I reviewed tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. This one, I just wanted to talk through it. So it's definitely longer. This one's 23 minutes. So it is what it is. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back as soon as I can with another video and another person. Until then, be safe and be blessed.